So, guys, let's continue with the next part. First of all, guys, I would like to again welcome you the journey that we have started long back, and this training and the training that we are going on. I think this might be the 43rd session of this particular program. That is the official program of Red Hat, and it is the one of the base core training global module called RHCSA, and we are on to the version 8 of this training. Okay, but today's topic, guys, is a little bit different. Even though very basic, basic level, it is covered on your RHCSA training, and even though if you go to some advanced training of Linux and Red Hat. Normally, we don't touch this topic much, but as the job of any Linux admin, or maybe the job of any automation engineer, right? This is the one of the very crucial command or crucial program that we should know logically and rightly. Most of the guys, you might know this command, and typically just in 1 or 2 minutes I can complete this topic or command, but when 1 or 2 minutes, I believe nobody can properly explain you the right meaning or the right logic of this command, guys. So I would like to dedicate the complete today's session on a program and command called sudo. Even though it's very simple command, a lot of you guys might know about this command, but they might don't know about how the command work behind the scene, and what are the lot of different keyword or a lot of different options available in this particular command called sudo, right? So today's, guys, we are going to discuss this command, and in our RSCSA level of training, very basic level, this command cover. Even though if you go to the next level, this is called RSCE, where version 8, where we talk a lot about some automation tool like Ansible or maybe other tools, right? So if you guys are the DevOps engineer or automation engineer, or you guys using Ansible, so having the good knowledge in sudo is very powerful, is very important to know, right? so so guys, today's the complete class would be on sudo, and I highly recommend, even though you guys might know sudo, just go through the complete lecture, because a lot of internals of the sudo we are going to discuss. Even though after some time we also show you how to integrate sudo with SSH. So for today's, guys, the only prerequisite for this training is you should know basics about SSH, and you should know basic about users or account in the Linux. And I believe almost, because this topic or this topic we already cover in very detail, but very basic level, you guys know, or you guys should know about SSH and the user program in Linux, right? But sudo is a very powerful command. Even though anybody who are from security domain or some ethical hacking world, okay, this concept, again, some ethical hackers also use a lot internally to get privileges or get escalation privileges of your programs, right? So obviously this training is not about security or hacking, but you also get the idea how how this process or this kind of command work, right? So today's, guys, the complete topic and complete agenda would be purely on a program called sudo, right? So before I explain you sudo, right, first let me give you a very basic brief about how the program work, right? So you'll get the idea. For example, you guys know this part we discussed multiple time. If you want to do anything if you want to do anything on the top of the operating system, obviously you have to log in from some account here is called user. Okay, so without the account, obviously you won't able to log into the system, right? But after you log in from some of the account and you want to do something on the top of the OS, okay, you have to run a program. And you guys know, when you run the program load on the RAM, and when they load on the RAM, it become a process. It means you have to start or execute some process, and process is the one who know how to communicate with the operating system. So typically, guys, if you want to communicate and to do something on the top of the OS, first of all you have to log in with the user, and and then user is the one who will run the process. Okay, now the important thing here to be noticed, guys, without the process it is very impossible to integrate with the operating system. Okay, but why we need the user? Okay, why we need the user and why we need multiple users? Okay, the why we need a user, because it all depend upon the different powers we would like to get. For example, let me give you one very basic example over here. Example, right now this is one of my Linux operating system, and I'm logging with a user called root. Okay, with some password that I have in my system. Okay, so if you try to see who you are, who am I, so my account name is root. Okay, because you have login with the root account. Root account, user name or account name is root. And you guys know, might from from last few classes, any user who name is root, or I also told you guys in my last classes, any user who have the ID called 0 are the root account. So any user with the user ID called 0 is the root account, and any user that has ID 0 or the name root account, that has all the power, right? This user can do anything in the OS. When I say this user can do anything in the OS, it means this user can run any program, and any program become a process. I mean, this user can run any process in the OS. So all the command in the system this user can run. Okay, so my point, guys, over here is what I'm trying to tell you here. All right, your system has hundreds and thousands of program. A program also known as a command. For example, one of the command is date command. One of the command is cal command. One of the command is cat command. Okay, so so this cat command is a one single command or one single program. Okay, but the important thing is, guys, the right now the cat command is one single program, but the most important thing is who is going to run this command, who is going to execute this command and create a process. Okay, same command if is run by a root user, you are going to give you a different power to this command. And same command if you run by any regular user, for example, let's say Vimal, I have one user over here. Same command if they run by Vimal user, okay, will give the different power to this command. What I mean by this, for let me log out from this user. Okay, I might have one more user here, Vimal, maybe. Okay, let me check. Maybe Jack user I might have, I don't know. Let me create a one user very quickly. Okay, so you guys know how to create the account. So user add is a command, and let me create one account called Linux world, or let's say IIEC user one. This is the one account I'm going to create, and I'm setting the password for this account, let's say Q. Okay, this is very basic command, you guys know. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to log in with this account. Okay, I see user one with the password Q. Okay, so again, who am I? What's my identity? I am this one. And what is my ID? My ID is because it's not 0, so I'm not root. So I'm a regular user, and because I am the regular user, you have a limited power. It means, can you run the cat command? Yes. But when you run the cat command, for example, I'm going to run a cat command and trying to open a file, let's say it is shadow file, and this is the one of the secure file in the system. Okay, but if you want to open this file, you need a cat command. But point is, guys, cat is a command or a program, and when you run this program, this program will do something for you. It become process, it will do something for you. But when you run this program, it become process. So it depends, guys, who is going to run this command, from which user you are going to run this command. Right now, because I'm going to run this command from this user, and by chance this user don't have power to run this command on this file. On this file. Okay, so from this user, guys, now I can say, if I create in the diagram here, if I create the diagram here, okay, so I can say this is the account or the user I have, and this user want to read this file. And if you read this file, you need a program or a command. So can this user run this command? Yes. But after they run the command, this user has a power to read this file? So guys, if you go to my last lecture, you come to know a normal user don't have power to read all the file in the system. So by chance this is one of the file this particular user don't able to read. And why don't able to read? You guys have gone through my last classes called permissions, where I talk about. So guys, again, it is not important to know permission in this class, but my main intention to explain you here is, okay, user has a capability to run almost all the command and all the program, but command and program are going to do something in your system. Maybe they are going to read a file, maybe are going to read a databases, maybe they're going to create a file and folder. Okay, so so if this user run this command, does this command has a power to read this file, right? So we never say this, does cat as a program can read this file? No, we don't say in this way. We always say this, who is going to run this program, because this user is the one going to read this program. So does this user has a power to read this file? That's called read power, read permission, right? If yes, then cat can have a capability to go and read this file. For example, for example, same demo, if I'm going to show you again, let me log out from this account. In the same system, I'm going to log in with root account. But who am I? I'm a root account. What is your ID? Zero ID, because this user has zero ID. It means this user can do everything in your system. So can they run cat command? All the user can run the cat command. But because this is a root account or admin account, has all the power and all the privileges, okay, so I can say because this command is run by root, or because it's run by root, the root has all the power to read any file in the system, right? So if I run this command by this command, you can see there's no error come up, and the output of this command will output this file will be printed on the screen. See here. So the interesting thing, if you notice here, same command, exactly same command, I have run from my other user or regular user, but the same command, if I run on the same data and same file on same folder, maybe because we run by a root account, because root has a power to do anything in all the file in the folder, so this program automatically get this power. So typically guys, what I'm going to tell you here is, in the top of the operating system, only you can interact with the OS with the commands. But what command can do, or what command can't do, or what program can do, what program can't do for you, it depends upon the name of the user or the power of the user. Okay, and this power is normally known as a privilege of the user. And by the root is a user who has a privilege to do everything on the top of the operating system, but other user don't have the privileges. This is one thing. And by chance guys, if you talk about the Linux operating system, so in the Linux operating system, normally by default, whenever you install the Linux, almost in all the Linux operating system, root account automatically created with the ID 0, or because they create with the ID 0 and integrated written somewhere on the kernel, any user who has the ID 0, okay, will have all the power, all the privileges. Okay, that is a by default nature of the Linux operating system. But guys, sometimes very dangerous, right? Sometimes very dangerous to give a user with all the power. Maybe some accidentally the password, my password of root break, or maybe stolen by somebody else. So they have a power to do run all the command, read all the file, to do anything in the system. So in the real production system, right, it is a very dangerous thing you can think, and that is a reason, right, in almost all the server in the world, real server, wherever we are using Linux, right, almost in all the system we always disable the root account. Okay, so if somebody get the password, doesn't get the password, account is disabled, so there is no chance to log in with this account. So login with the root user is very dangerous. Even though till date in my training of RHCSA, from the first day I keep on login with the root account, because you guys are new and to make you comfortable guys, I log in with the root account, but it is very dangerous. Never recommended login with the root account. Okay, so what can you do? You can just create some other user, some regular user, because when you log in with a regular user, they are the restricted user, means they do very limited thing in their world, in their home directory, right? Whatever, wherever they log in, that's called your home directory. The limited thing, limited files, limited program they can access. Okay, but because you are because you are login with the general user, now this user you can give extra power. For example, maybe in the future I want, let's say I create one user called here, the user called IIEC user 1. Right now this user has a limited power because I created right now over here. Okay, for example, let me again log in from the same user called IIEC user 1 with a password. So who am I? I am this user. My ID is not 0, so I am the limited user or the regular user. Okay, so what can I do? Very limited thing. For example, if you ask the user to, can you create a new account? Can you create a new account here? No, permission denied. You can't create a new account because this power is only available to the root account. Or can you install some new software in my system? So you guys know yum command. So let's say I'm going to install one software here called just random software vsftpd. So can this user have a capability to install the new software? So you can see the, if you see the right last line, there's an error. Only root user can do it for you. Or can you read this file? No, only root can do. So any user that you created by user add command are known as general user, and general user has a limited power. They can't do much. Okay, they can't do much. Why? If you guys go through my permission classes, most of the concept I explain you there. But the thing, it is a limited user or the general user come with very limited thing, right? So all the system level thing or admin task, create account, change somebody password, install the software, update the software, right? Those things only can be done by the root user. General user won't able to do it. Okay, but now guys, challenge over here is, if you say the root account is very dangerous, and in the server we always disable the account. If we disable the root account, okay, so how, as a admin job, if you're working in the job as admin in the company or IT guys, if root account is disabled, and if you have a requirement to install some software, if you have a requirement to create some other account, if you have a requirement to change some other bit password, or a requirement to open some some secure files, how we can do it? Because these user by root is disabled and this user don't have a power to do it. Okay, so in this scenario guys, what can we do? Because in system hundreds of things we can do, hundreds of files we can access, thousands of commands we have. So what can we do? We can do one trick. The trick is, right, we know root user has all the power, but we disable the account, and we know this user IIEC user 1 has a very limited power. Okay, so, and guys, I told you guys, for example, if you would like to run the command, let's say yum command, to install some software. Okay, and when you when you run this command from this user, this command say, because you are the one who is running me, or because you are the root, or because you are not the root, so I am my internals of my system doesn't allow me to run, because my command is only and can be only run by a root account. Only root can run me. But by saying guys, because of security, we disable the root. So what can we do? So we can do one trick. We can do one trick. Okay, maybe guys, we have a requirement to only run yum command. Maybe we have some other command also, like user add. might not require to run this command, or maybe other commands also. Okay, so what can we do? We can do one trick. The trick is, guys, after you log in from this user, you can't log in from the root account. After you log in from this user, okay, if you want to run the yum command, so what trick you can do, right? When you run the yum command, tell the yum command that you are not the IIAC user 1. Okay, tell this command that this command is run internally by the power of root user. Okay, so root user is the one who are going to run this command. So when you run the or execute this command asks you, who are you? So hide your name and say that I am the root, or I am going to run your command. And then yum say, hey, because you are root, because root have a power to run me, so you can able to run me. So guys, technical, what I'm trying to tell you guys here, this user have a limited power, and if you try to give this user some extra power or power of the root account, okay, power typically known as privileges. So if you try to give extra privileges to account that is limited and that has limited power, that process, guys, is known as privileges escalation. So what we have to do, we have to give this user extra power for this command. Now you can decide you would like to give a power to all the command like yum, like userret, like cat it is shadow, all the command, right? Whatever this user can do, that will be your choice. So you can say that I've in my system I have all the command, and all the command power give to this user. Or you can also say I would like to only give a power to the yum command, or I would like to give this user power to the user head command. That's also, you guys, you can do here. Okay, but everything or whatever you do, if you give a user extra power, whatever they don't have, okay, of especially the root account power, then this concept is known as privilege escalation. And guys, this is a concept hackers, security guys will use a lot. Even though if you search in the Google, there's a concept called PEA. It's called privilege escalation attack. Okay, a lot of hackers use this concept to try to capture some extra power on the server and try to break the system. Okay, they use some certain method or some certain kind of loophole on the system to do it, right? So again, this is not hacking or security class, but if you search this term privilege escalation attack, you'll get to know some idea tricks what they do behind the scene. Okay, but my main topic guys here is, if you would like to give a user certain power on certain command or some extra power or root on certain command, for this we have to go for this concept, and for implementing the concept we need a program, and here the program that give you a privilege escalation are known as sudo command. Sudo command. Okay, and even though guys sudo is a short name, okay, typically we are giving this user, so here U stand for user, a power of root. Root is my super user. So it's called S stand for super. So S U super user, and we are giving the power to do something. So it's do. So the full form is sudo is super user do. We are giving this user to do some extra thing with the power of super user. Okay, so it is not by default. It is not by default. Obviously, if anybody get the power automatically, so there is no meaning of root account. So root is the one, right? Initially will go inside the system and say before you disable the root account, right? Because after when you install the OS, root account created, and after root account created, root account will go in the system and say this is the user, I am going to give this user extra power for this command or this command. We would like to give this user extra power. Okay, so how to do this, right? So if you want to give the extra power, how can you do this? Let me go to the different OS. So from graphical means GUI I can show the things, right? So this is my system. It's a new system. Let me create one more user here. Let's say the username is called user one. Okay, I already have this user, doesn't matter. Let me change the password. Okay, and you guys know, if you want to log in with this user, in one more way you can use su have one. It's called switch user. I can log in with this user. Okay, so right now I log in with this user with the limited power because my ID is not 0. My ID is 1003. Okay, so I can say this user is a limited user, or I can say the regular user. So if you check again, same thing. Does this user have a capability to read this file? No. Or does user has a capability to install some software? No, it failed, right? But if you want to give this user extra power, that the user can run the cat command with the power of root, how can you do this? Okay, for this obviously you have to first log in with the root account because root is the admin of the system and root is the one who can give the power. Okay, so, and if you want to give the power, then you have to go for privilege escalation. You have to use a program called sudo, and sudo has their own internal configuration file, and name of the config file that is managed by sudo is called etc sudoers. So this is the file used by this program. So let me start from here. So I'm opening this file called etc sudoer. This is the internal configuration file here, and what can I do here? I can write my rule. I can write my rule what I want. So here what I want, I would like to give user one some extra power. So we have to write here, and how to write here in this file, right? I have some rule already. in this file, what can you write? You can write here that I have a user. You can write in any of the line. You can write here, when user one login, give this user, okay, to run cat command. Even though guys, user has a power to run the cat command. Okay, by default user have power. For example, let me again log into the same user called user one. This user has a power to run the cat command. Let's say this file I'm creating here, file created, I can see file is there, I can list also. So right now this user has a power to run the cat command, but right now this command is run by user one. Okay, so this command say my power is I'm running by this user, and because this user has a power to read this file, because this is a user who created this file, I can read it. But this file is not created by this user. Okay, so I don't have power to read it. I don't have power to read it. So what can you do? What can you do here, right? You, even though this file is created by some other else, some other user or some other account, but you can give this user a power to read this file using a program called cat. So how can you do this? For this, you have to first log in with the root account again, because root is the one who can set the sudo program. So I'm logging with the root account, and here I can write I can write that if user one login, give this user to run the cat command that already they have, but now give this user a power to run the cat command internally with the power of root. So user one login, run this command, but internally this command will run with the power of root, with the power of root. Okay, and here guys, you have to write all and all here. But guys, very limited guys in the technical Linux world or Linux domain know the meaning of this all command, these all commands. So I will guys explain it today also what is the meaning of this all keyword. Okay, I will explain it today. Okay, but right now just focus on this two field here. The first field is after user one login, they can run the cat command. Now they can run the cat command with the power of sudo. That's what I have right here. So this is one rule of sudo I have right. So let me save this file. And guys, even though this file is I open this file with root account, but even though they are asking this file is read only, okay, because this file is very dangerous. Okay, even though you are logging with root account, they are asking you that we make this read only. But if you really want to save it, just use this symbol to save. So I'm going to write exclamation colon WQ exclamation to save this file, because this file is very dangerous. Any tweak, any due to any reason, if you wrong tweak this file, the entire server might hack, right? So I save this file. Now guys, what do you see? Again, I am login with the user called user one. You can confirm who are you, this user. Now from this user, again I am running this command cat. Last time it failed. Let's see what happened this time. Again this time it failed. Why it failed this time? They failed this time guys because because you said that I would like to run this command with my power, because you don't have power to write something in this file or read this file or do something here. Okay, there's a permission to it, but because we have given this user extra power from sudo, now what can you do? You can now utilize this power. And how can you utilize, right? If you think, okay, to run the same command with sudo power, the only thing you have to write here is you have to write sudo in the front of it. If you run the sudo, it means even though you are user one, you are trying to tell this command think that I am not the one who are running you. Think this command is run by the root account. Root is a user internally who are going to run this command, or who are going to run you. Okay, and now guys, if I run this command, okay, you can see some error come up. So in this file, the code I write has some error on this particular line. Okay, and what is the error? Why this error come up? Because guys, if you again go through my basic classes of the Linux, right, this is the very basic thing I explained you. Okay, let me again go to my account. I told you guys, whenever you run any command, these are the commands. But every command is a program file, and if you want to find where this program file located, you can use which. So which tell you this is the location of the program file. Okay, so we know this is a command, but internally when you run this command, this program file run. So similarly guys, if you ask where is the cat command, though this is the location of the cat program. So in the sudo file, you have to give the location of the program rather than the command name. Okay, so every command is a program. Every command is a program file. So here you have to give a location of the program file rather than the command name. Okay, this is the syntax you have to give here. Let me share this code to you. Now let me do the same thing again. I'm going to even though what I'm going to do to not to be confused again and again, let me open one more terminal here, new tab, and here let me log in with this account, user 1. Who am I? User 1. I am not a root. I have limited power. Even though if you try to read this file, because you are not root, you don't can't able to read it. But if you want to read, you can use sudo. You can use sudo. Now you're telling that to a system and to cat command, I have the sudo power in this file. Just go and check from there, and if you find there is a power, so internally run the cat command with the power of sudo, with the power of root account. And guys, here first time they ask the password, and again guys, a lot of guys think it is a root password. No, this is the user one, and obviously user one doesn't know the root password. Even though if a user one know the password, so they know meaning of power, they can log in with root account, they can do anything. Okay, this power is not the power or password of the root account. This is a password of the same user. Okay, so this user is asking the password or just for verification. A very much guys, one slogan here: with great power come a great responsibility, right? So sudo is a very important program, right? It give you power, but utilize your power with the responsibilities here, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give my own power, my own password here. Okay, that's my password I'm adding here. And now guys, this command run. Let me run this command again one more time. Okay, first time only they ask their own password. Now you can run this command. Okay, so now internally this user is running the cat command on this file. Last time guys, if you run without sudo, it failed. But because we have given this user a sudo power on the cat command, so they can ask this command to run this command behind the scene with the power of the root. Okay, but if you try to run the yum command here, let's say I'm going to like install this software, it failed. And if you try to use the sudo here, okay, again it failed. And they say user one is not allowed because I am user one. Okay, and my sudo program only allow cat command to run with the power of root. They haven't allowed me to run the yum command with the power of the root. Okay, this is one important thing. So if you want to give this user one more extra power, you can write here. So again, only root user can give the power. Otherwise, there is no meaning. Anybody can take their own power. So you have to log in with the root first, go to the system and write one comma here and give one more command power, yum. Okay, but again, same thing. You have to give the complete path of the yum. So you can ask which can you tell me what is the path of the yum. So by chance this command is again the same location here. Okay, just give the path here. Now this user will have a two power. They can run the cat command or they can run the yum command with the power of root account. Let me give one more power guys to use this user. Just I want to show you something. So there's one command called id, and what is the location of the id command? This is the location here. So let me give one more power to this user because I want to show you one small detail here. So 3 command power I give you. Even though they have the cat command power already, they have the id command, but now this cat command or the yum command or id command, this user can run, but internally the power that apply belongs to root. Okay, root they think root is running on, they are running away. Okay, something like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do again, if I try to run this yum command again, it failed. But if you say I am a user one and this command power is come from sudo, so you can sudo here, and now this time you see it won't fail with this password with this error, and now they are properly running, and they say, do you want to install, or yes or no? So I can say yes or no, depends, right? But now we have the power. And one more guys demo I would like to show you here, right, to tell you okay, what interesting thing. When you run any command always run by this user power, and this is the best command to verify. So I running id command. Id command tell you okay, id command tell you this command is run with the power of which user one. But if you run the sudo command with on if you apply sudo on the id, now same user one is going to run the id command. But internal guys, we know we are running the id command, but internal id command is internal run by sudo, and sudo will run this command with the power of root. So what can you see? You can see even though you are the one running this command, but what id think id think this command internal run by root. So that is the best verification command to prove you what I'm trying to tell you here is, right? So any user run the command always run with their power, but if you apply the sudo internally, that particular command that particular command is internally, it's not visible, but they run with the power of root account. So this is the best verification you can confirm from here. Okay, this is one thing. Similarly guys, in this file you can write multiple rules. Okay, we can write multiple accounts here. So other line we can write one more account. So maybe in your company you have more account. Okay, so for example I have one account called let's say my pop user and I would have to give my pop user other command power, let's say cat command power only. So we can write multiple multiple account here. Okay, one more thing guys, user one has this 3 command power. Okay, 3 command power. So if you log in with the user one, after you log in if you run the sudo command, okay, and there's an option called L list. So user can also see, right, does this user have a sudo power or not? So what it is visible, right, user one can run this command and can check. So my root account has given me power on these three commands. These 3 commands. So I can use these 3 commands with the sudo power. That's what this list command will tell you. Okay, so this one more thing you can check here. Okay, now guys, very interesting concept. What is the meaning of all? But before I go for this all, okay, I will like to tell you one more keyword here. Okay, the guy, this all is that all, right? So what is the meaning of this all? Very limited guys know, but I will explain you. Before I go for this, let me do one more small thing. Let me okay, comment this line. So this is a way to comment this line, and let me write one more same rule again one more time. So if you have a requirement to give this user the power to all the command that the user have, so rather than you rather than you keep on writing command name the comma separated, you can use one keyword called all in capital. So the all means now user one can run all the command in my system. Anyway, all the command that normal user can't run, but they can run in my system. So this is the meaning of this all keyword here, but you have to write all keyword in the capital letter. Okay, so let me save this file again. Now from this user, again if you list, you can say now they can run all the commands. And for example, user ID one of the command normal you can't able to run. Let me try. It failed because this command don't have power to run with user one. But if I run this command with the sudo, it will run. So there's no error come up and internal account created. So user one have a power to run all the commands. And how they know? By this particular keyword. they know. Okay, now one more interesting thing guys I would like to tell you here is for showing that demo what I'm going to do. Let me create one more user in my system. Very interesting demo. One more user in my system. Let's say the username is called Linux user. Okay, and this is the password I'm setting. Okay, and what I'm going to do here what I'm going to do, I am going to log in with this user. And you guys know whenever I log in to the user, by default you landed to this folder. That is a home directory of this user, and right now this user is new, then nothing is there. And I'm going to create one account here, a file called lw.txt. Let's say I write lw some data. So if I create it, and this is the data in this file. Okay, because this file is created by this user, this user. Okay, so only this user can read this file. And guys, I told you in my last class also, root is always exception. So if you give the root user a power or don't give the power, they by default have. But apart from root, any other user want to read this file, they won't able to read it. So right now guys, the path of this file is this one. So this is the location where this file located. So this file guys is only read by this user. How can I show you? Let me log out from here. Let me create one more user here. And let's say the name of RH, Red Hat user. Okay. And also let me give the password here. And after I log in with the RH user, okay, and try to log in, because I am a different user, but I'm trying to read this file, and this file is not created by me, it is created by somebody else. If I try to read this file, it failed. Let's say you can't read this file because this file is located here, and this file is created by Linux user when you are different user, so you don't have a power to read this file. Okay, now guys, main point here, what I'm going to tell you is very interesting concept. Very limited guys, even though working in the Linux domain in the market, most of guys doesn't know this concept. What I'm going to explain. Okay, so what I'm going to explain you here is, okay, this particular file, where it is, this file is created by this user. Only this user or a root user is exception always, so can I read this file. But right now guys, I have logged with this user. Okay, and this user trying to read this file, they say it's not allowed, denied. Now what my requirement is guys, I want this user can read this file. And how you can give this access to read by file? We can give sudo. Okay, so let's say we can give sudo. But here guys, if you give the sudo power, there one challenge come up. What is that challenge? Let me explain you. Let me again open one more terminal here. Okay, so I'm root user, and if I give this user username called Red Hat user all and all on a command call, because the file can run by program called cat command. So this is the location of the cat command. I give this power. Okay, now this user can run the cat command with the root power, and root has the power to do all the things. So this part you know. After apply this power, now same user, if they try to read this file, again fail. But you guys know, because you have to apply sudo. Now if I apply sudo, and because the first time we are applying the sudo, they've asked the password for me, and this password is called sudo password, and this password is same of the user password. Same user password. Okay, so I give the password and I can able to read. But very simple thing, I can able to read this file. But the biggest challenge guys over here is, okay, now because you have given this command a sudo power, and this sudo power you have given by sudo. So if you guys give this user a cat power, so it means this user can read all the file in my system. What root can read. For example, there is one secure file in the system, they're very secure, where we have all other user password. This user can also read this file because I have given the cat command power, cat command sudo power to this user. Okay, or it means this user get the cat power internally with the root power. Or I can say the cat privileges, root privileges we have given to this command for this user, so they can run all the files. That's very dangerous guys. So my requirement is not to give other root user power, or other file access. My requirement is to give this user to access only this file. Okay, and because this file is created by the user called Linux. So what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, right, in the sudo we also have a capability. Okay, what capability? We can give any user, for example, LRH user here, this user, I can give this user a power of Linux user, of this user with sudo. So this will say, okay, when I run the command, run this command with sudo and the power of Linux user. So a lot of guys think sudo command is always run with the power root. It's not like this. It is not like this. Okay, right? You can run any command with one user with the power of any of the other user. Okay, you can use. And how can you do this, guys? For this we have this option here. We have this option here. So guys, this all means we can, if I change this all and write here Linux user, it means this user can run the cat command, but only the power apply is for Linux. Even though, let me add one more command here to just to verify id command. So this user can run the id command either with their power or with the power of Linux user. Okay, so let me save this file and show you. So when I go for this user, so this user can run the id command by their power or run the id command with the power of Linux user. Right, but you see, it's failed. Why it's failed? Because by default, whenever you run the sudo command, this command always run internally with the power of root. But here we give we tell this user, I don't allow root, I only allow Linux user to run it. So what you have to do, guys, by default they all, if you don't write anything, by default they run with the power root. But here you can use option U and say, don't run this command with the power root, run this command with the power of other user called Linux. And now you can see it's run. So if you run the id command, it will run with your power. If you run sudo command, and explicitly you said to the sudo command, run this id command, okay, with the power of Linux, and because I have the Linux power, so I can run it. Or because I can run it, I can see this command is run by the Linux power. Similarly, I can, instead of id, I can run this command, this cat command. I can't read this cat command, but I can run sudo. Even though it's not work, because sudo by default run with the root power. I don't have root power here, but I can run this file with the power called Linux power. Linux power. It means we are running the cat command not with from my power, because I don't have a power, not with the root power because I don't have a root power, but from this user power. And by chance this file is created by this user, so I can able to read it. So very tricky thing, but in most of the environment, a lot of environment we have, because we never log in with the root account, but one of the account created by other account and other user also working, so multiple team member working, and one of the file created by one team member, I want other team member can also able to read it. Okay, so this is one of the trick. Even the permission is also way, but permission is restricted for only for files and folders, but but this sudo we can apply to commands also, like user commands. Okay, this is one interesting trick. Or even though now if you run the sudo -l, you can see this user has a 2 command power. 2 command power. Okay, and this 2 command they can run with the power from Linux. So this user can run this two commands, right, with the power of Linux user. And guys, that is the meaning of all command. So if you don't give Linux here and if you give all, again very dangerous. All means all the users. By default we write all. This all means all the users. What I mean by this all here, let me explain you. This all means now this user have a capability to run this 2 command with the power of any of the user. For example, sudo, I can run id command. So if I run only id, it will run with my power. If I run sudo id, it run with root power. Because by default, if you write sudo or don't write sudo, means if you write sudo or write this keyword is same thing. So sudo internally automatically use this option called uroot. But I can use other name also, like for example Vimal user. I can use the name also like Linux user. So this user can run these two commands, only these two commands, cat and id, with the power of any of the user that is exist in my system. Very interesting concept, right? Exist in the system. Okay, so it is also dangerous because I've seen lots of time in server we give all is very dangerous. Rather than we give all, you just be specify, okay, you want this user run these command with the power of only root account or jack account or Linux account. And obviously if you give the root account, there's no meaning to give other account because root have power. But you can restrict with limited accounts like this. Okay, all means all the user, but you can restrict. Now this user can run this three command with three power. One of the power is their own, and either they can run them with the power of jack or they can run the power Linux. So any of the file, because cat is a command to read the file, any of the file created by jack, any of the file created by Linux, where Linux is the owner or the Linux and jack user has a permission, the RH user can read that particular file. That's the meaning of these two lines. Very limited guys know this, the meaning of this keyword here, but this is the way we can do we can do here. Okay, so this is one more concept here. Okay, one more concept guys I would like to tell you. Before this, let me create one more user. So I am going to create a user called Tom1 and going to give a password, and I'm going to give this user some power. So let's say I would like to give the same power, all the power, just for make it simple. So Tom1 has all the power. But by chance, whenever you whenever guys you log in with this user first time and use a sudo command first time, they ask the password of the same account. What I mean by this, let me show you. So after I log in with the Tom1 user, and whenever I use sudo command first time, they ask the password of my own password. Okay, so guys, right now because I'm logging in the front of my screen, so I can give the password and log in. Let me do Control C. So I terminate. Okay, again if I run, obviously they ask again. Let me terminate. So if I am in the front of the terminal, I can pass the password. But sometimes guys, if you go for automation, for example, anybody who work on Ansible, a lot of guys here are in some of my Ansible program, right? So Ansible, or maybe using some kind of Python CJ scripts or some kind of internet scripts. Okay, so those scripts don't have a capability to give the password on the command line. Okay, so those scripts can't give the password. This is called prompt. So this prompt, my Python scripts, my Ansible script, my other scripts, or my some automation script, they won't able to give the password. So what can we do? Because whenever you run the sudo command, they always ask the password. So we can disable this feature because this is your own password you're asking. So there's no good reason for this. So what can we do? What can we do? Okay, in this sudo file, in the sudo file, we can write here, whenever Tom1 user login and try to run any of the command, first time you ask the password. For this user, don't ask. Don't ask the password. So there's one keyword you can write here. So guys, no password in capital. There's colon. There's no space before this, and after colon, at least one space you to give. Okay, it means run after login. Whenever this command user login, okay, don't ask the password first time. Do it without asking the password. And guys, this approach we normally use a lot in some kind of web applications or some kind of backend server application or some automation script. Because if any script run behind the scene, I can't able to provide the password. If I not able to provide the password, it will fail. Now in this case, if I try to log in with the Tom1 again, okay, this time guys, Tom1 is again login running sudo first time because last time I do Control C here, terminate. Now this time guys, they won't ask the password, and without password they're doing the thing for us. So in most of the time, 99.9% we always prefer to go for this particular approach. Okay, this particular approach. Okay, so guys, finally the summary of this particular file is, let me very quickly write here summary, then we'll go for SSH. So summary of this file is there's 4 fields in this file. The first field, you have to give the username where you would like to apply the sudo power. Then this field is to tell this user when you trying to log in, right, which power you can get, which escalation, previous escalation you can get. Right, for example, this user can use sudo and get the power of Jack user or get the power Linux user. Okay, and last field where you can give all keyword or this multiple commands here is this command you can run. This command you can run with this user power. All means all command you can run with any of the user power. Something like this. Okay, and now what is the meaning of this keyword is it's not so much critical. From which machine? Normally right now guys I'm login. If you try to see here again sudo -list right now, because I'm running this command from a local host from my same system where you create account, same system I'm doing. But if you say you have one more system and from where you log in, you guys know how to log in. We log in with SSH. So you can define here if you for example, there is a 3 machine here. This is machine 1, machine 2, machine 3. This is IP1, IP2, IP3. Okay, and this system, let's say we have a user called Tom1. So can IP2 log in with Tom1? Yes. Can IP3 log in with Tom1? Yes. How? One of the program you guys know, SSH. Okay, so what can we can say here? If you log in on Tom1 from IP2, give the power. If you log in for IP3, don't give the power. Don't give the sudo power. I'm talking here the sudo guys. Okay, but here all means if you log in from any of the machine SSH, give the sudo power. Now 99% guys we always go for all, because obviously we would like to give a flexibility, because we have one central system, we have one account, and this is my account, so I can log in from any of my laptop, any mobile phone. It doesn't matter, because I should require login a password, but you can also do it. So this system guys, here you can every system has a host name. So let's say this host name is host 1, 2 or host 2, 3. We can write here if Tom1 login from host 2, then only I can give this power, otherwise not. All means any of the host, any of the client they log in, give this power. So very 99% we don't change, we always keep all, but this is the meaning of this particular keyword. So in this file guys we have four field. Okay, according to me most interesting field is this one, all, this one, where you can tweak the thing. I want my Apache user run all the command only with the power of Vimal. I can want my Jenkins user can run all the command with the power of, let's say, Tomcat user. We can write Tomcat here. So any of the user that you have exist, you can apply here. Okay, but typically this is a very typical way we give the power. I don't recommend this one, the way I go for user 1. Okay, it means from any of the machine you log in on user 1, especially via SSH or maybe via telnet, right? Give the power to all the commands, and with the power of with the user of all the users they can run the command, any command, either with root power or jack power, Linux power, whatever they have. Even though they have the root power, they know the power required, they can run all the command with root power. Okay, so there's guys some small trick. Guys, if you know Linux, there is one more concept in the Linux called groups. Okay, groups. So even though my last class I already talked about the groups, group is just a way to manage the user. So in the one group we can create multiple users called members. So anybody who are interested to know the group, I think you can guys go for my last videos where I explain the group and the concept of the groups. Okay, so what can I saying here? So for example, I I would like this is my requirement. For example, I have one group called Linux World, and this group we have user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. All right, and what I want guys, all the user I would like to give a power to run the cat command with the power of root account. So how can you do? You can create 4 rules. User 1, first rule, user 2 one more same rule, user 3 one more same rule. Either you do in this way, or what can you do? You can give the power to group. So I can say if anybody who belong to Linux world group can run the cat command with the power of root. Okay, so you can also give the power to the group, and if you give the power to group, all the members of group will get the power. But to specify, for example, how we can do how we can do, let me go out very quickly. Let me show you this demo. Let's say I have a group called Linux world and I'm going to create an account. Let's say user 1, and this user belongs to a group called this one. Okay, so these are already created. Let me modify this user because I already have. Let me create one more user called user 2. Let me create one more user called user 3 and user 4. So these 4 users belong to same group. How can I verify? There's one file here. From this file you can verify that Linux world group created and these are the member of this group. So this group created and these are the member of this group. But guys, after I log in from this user, I don't have power. For example, after I log in from the user called user 1, and if you run the sudo -l, I don't have a power. Even though ask me their password, let me set the password user 1. Okay, so I don't have a power to run the sudo. So if you want to give power to all the users, either go do one by one the way we did already, either do in this way one by one here, or what can you do? Because we know all the users belong to same group, I can write here anybody who belong to Linux world group, they can log in from any of the OS and give the power. They can get the power of all the account with all the commands, and we won't ask the password whenever you do run the sudo first. Okay, we can write here. But guys, here sudo will confuse. How sudo come to know this LW is a username or a group name? To tell this is the group name, you have to write ampersand here. So ampersand, guys, is a symbol here. So it's not ampersand, is a percentage. So percentage is a symbol through which you tell to your sudo that this is a group name. And any user belong to this group, I will have to run all the command from any of the user power from any of my machines. That's what I give here. Now if you save this, now if you run again, you go to this user. Now see guys, you have all the power. Okay, even though you log into user 2, see list, you have all the power, right? Even though we haven't given to user 2, let's go for user 4. They have all the power. They have all the powers. Okay, and guys, that easy reason, guys, anybody who know Linux, let me work on it. So if you see guys, this rule already we have in my system. So if you see guys, there is one group already created called wheel group. And wheel group have power to run all the commands. Okay, that is a reason, guys, in the Linux, a lot of guys who don't know so much about the Linux, right, what they do, they create a user, let's say a K1 user. Okay, and they want to give the K1 user a power of all the command, so they put this guy into the wheel group. So look, I think this is the way to give a power to the user, but most of guys doesn't know why they get the power, because wheel group is already created in my system, or already we have in my system, automatically created, right? So if you see here, wheel group we already have. So if you see here somewhere, we already have. So if you go up, you can see this group already have, and this member we made, or because this group already we have and this group entry is already there in this file, that is the reason we got the power. Okay, but it's not like that. It is not like this. You have to use wheel group only. You can also create our own customized group to do our own customized thing. Okay, this is the again one more thing you can do. So you can do this kind of custom setting also in this file. But it's very interesting. You know what? Because maybe guys, for the first day we are working on the root account, we don't as such stuck with the power. But in the real world, you always stuck with the power because we never work on the root account. Okay, so it's very customized thing. We can give a user to power some command with some other user power, something like this. A lot of customization we can do here. One more thing, guys. This this file is very much critical file, sensitive file, and if you do some spelling mistake here, because I open this file with the VI editor. So if I save this file, you never come to know we have done any spelling mistakes here. So that is very sensitive file. Okay, so normally we recommend, rather than we open the file with vim or gedit editor, there is one extra program called vsudo. So vsudo is a one program available for this file. And what can you do with the vsudo, right? You don't have to give the file name. vsudo know the file location, they auto open for you, and same file open. Same file open for you. And in this file you just edit what you want to edit. Okay, but good thing about the file is okay, this command is, if you done any spelling mistakes and syntax mistake here, 99.9% they detect the mistakes. If I save the file, they say there is a mistake here, they tell you. Okay, do you want to quit or edit? What do you want to do? Edit. Okay, just go again, change the mistakes. So vsudo is a great program. It help you if you do any syntax mistake or other mistakes, they will update you with the error. Now there is no mistakes here. I will save this file. There is no error come up. So vsudo, you don't have to give the path also. We just give the command name, it will apply the thing for you. Okay, so guys, this is one concept. One more concept, guys, very quickly. I just want to take it again, very important, especially those guys who are working on the automation or working on some scripts, or maybe working on the environment of Ansible. so in that environment we need this concept a lot. For example, normally guys, normally our admin sit in one laptop, and from the laptop they log in to the system. So these are main server, right? In this main server we disable the root account, and let's say we create one account called, let's say, Linux world user account. Okay, and from the laptop, this typically known as a workstation, they log into this account via networking, and after login they perform some tasks from this user. Maybe installing the software, creating further accounts, or something like this, depend whatever power you give to this user. So whatever you want, these guys will do on the server. Create a user, obviously give the password to them, and only apply that particular sudo power to this user, right? And obviously you guys know, from one system to other system, if you log in, we have to do SSH. that's what you have to do here. So let me guys show you this demo very quickly. So what I'm going to do here, this is one of my system. In this system I am going to create an account called Linux world user. Okay, and giving a password. Okay, and this system IP address in my case is 162. This is my current IP address of my system. Okay, so this IP of this system is 162. Okay, now from this laptop, so I have one more system guys running. So in my system laptop, two system is running over here. So this is one more system I have. Let's say this is my workstation. Okay, this is a very different system guys we have. Let me log in this system, or let me log in my laptop, my workstation in here. So I'm in the very different system altogether. So can you log in to this system IP162? Yes, we can log in by SSH. But I understand one thing you guys might know, whenever you do SSH, by default you always log in with the root account. Again, let me repeat this concept again, what I'm talking about. This is again small myth. Whenever from one system you log into other system via SSH, you log in the root account. But it's not a perfect statement guys. Perfect statement is, in your base system if you log in the root account, so in the remote system you again log in to the same account if you don't give the username here. Okay, what I mean by this, let me log out for this system. Let's say I would like to log into a user called I don't know, IIEC user 1. So who am I? This one. And if you try to log into remote system by default, you can see you are logging to the same user there. And obviously, guys, you can only log into the same user if that user exists there. Otherwise, they won't exist. Otherwise, obviously, how you can able to log in? Okay, because this user is not there in the IP162, it forgets. So what I'm going to tell you, very small thing, is not related to sudo, but is SSS concept. Okay, maybe most of guys might not know. Okay, so guys, whenever you use SSH and only give the IP of your remote server or remote system, SSH will check who to whom you have logged into the same system, local system. Same user they are trying to log in to the remote system. But if your requirement is I am logging my local system to this user, but I would like to log in this IP with the user called LW user. How can you do this? You guys might know this command. Okay, for this you can use SSH-L. L means login. Now you can see, guys, here now they are logging to LW user. Okay, so very basic command of SSH. Maybe most of you guys know. So in guys, my demo is something like this. So in my laptop, I have one account already created, name called IIEC user 1. So this is my local account created. So from this local account, I am going to log into SSH to this account. How to do this command? And if you know the password, I can log. So I log in to this account. In which system? Obviously on IP address 162. Now I log into this system. What can I do? Can I run the cat command? Can I run the yum command? Can I run the user command? I don't know. Let's see how much power you have. So you don't have a power. That's the reason they ask the password. Even though you give the password of your own, you don't have a power to run the sudo. Okay, because I haven't give this account a power. So what power I will have to give? I will have to give if this user login from this machine. Okay, give this user power to run all the command with the power of all the users. Okay, so how can you do this? Again, the same way. So this is my system where the user created. I'll go to sudo file and here I write this thing. So anybody log into this user from this machine, or you can use any of the machine. Give the user power to run the command with all the user over here. Okay, with which command? All command. That's what you can do here. And I don't want first time they ask me the password. So let's go for no password. Okay, that's a basic command concept I write in here. Now again, if you run sudo, now we have all the power. Oh, because you have all the power, so you can run any of the command. For example, user add p1, for example. Obviously, you have to use sudo. Okay, you can run it. But let me exit. And guys, if you know about Linux, you might also know one more thing, right? If you want to go to a remote system and after login, your requirement is to run only date command or id command or user command, you can run the command here. Okay, so right now I am logging to IP162 with the power of LW user and going to run the date command there. Okay, that's all. So typically, let me run one more command here. ID command. So I'm going to tell you guys, most of you guys might know this command. In my basic class of Linux, I have discussed this part. But in this guy's command, what happened? I log in to this user on this IP and run the ID command. If I run the ID command, obviously my name will print. It doesn't matter from which user you log in. It doesn't matter. Matter is which user you log in to which IP and which command you're running. But if you same command, if you run again one more time with sudo. So in this system, I am again logging with same user, but this time this ID command will run with the power of root. So if you notice here, now this time, right, exactly same command running from this user on this IP, but this time this command run internally with the power of root. There is a root command print. And why are you able to run, run the sudo command? Because in this IP we have given this user all power. all the power. So it means if if you want to do anything, you can do over here. For example, you want to install the software, yum install vsftpd-y to install. So you can install it. So you are installing a software on the remote system with from the normal user, because let's say your root account is disabled and it is working great, there is no challenge, there is no error come up. You can run also here. Okay, so in the automation script like Ansible or other automation tool or other automation script, this concept we use a lot. So what I can say in this command, let me write here. What I can say here, one minute. In this particular command, I can say that in this IP, we are doing a remote login by this user, okay, and running this command, because this is not the general user, so we give this user a power to run this command with the power of root. This is called privilege escalation. So we privilege escalate we have done. Okay, and because in this system, let's say your root account is disabled, so we don't need a root account power. Whatever power we given to this command, whatever command power we have given to this command, this guy have run. Even though here we have given all power, it's not good practice to give the all power, but whatever power you want to give, you can run this user. You can run this command with the power of this user. But notice one thing, guys. This is the first time you are logging in this user, and they doesn't ask me a password. Okay, because sudo always asks the password. Why? Again, guys, in the sudo we have one issue here. Okay, because we have disabled this. But if you don't disable this, if you don't disable no password, you know what happened? Let's see. So if you don't disable no root password, what happened, guys? So in the local system, if you log in with the user, they ask you. In the local system, if you log in with this user, and whenever you run sudo, they ask you to give the password. And I'm in there in the front of my system, I can give the password and do the things. But if you do the SSH, then you're stuck. Okay, you do the SSH here, okay, and try to run the command again. Okay, you know what happened, guys? You stuck. You ask the SSH password, I give, and then you get this error. Okay, you get this error. So you know what the meaning of this error? The meaning of this error is something like this. Okay, so meaning of this particular error is okay, you are going to log in this IP by this user and trying to run this command with sudo power. And you have the sudo power, but only challenge is in this sudo power your password is not disabled. Which means you have to ask the password. See here, ask password. But because you are not in that system, you are running in other system, you are in a different laptop. Who are going to ask your password? You need some terminal. You need somebody who prompt the password to you. So for the guys, in this case, if this is scenario, in this case, in the SSH, you have to apply one command called happen T. So T is a command who help you to prompt the sudo password. Okay. Now here, two password asked. First, the password asked for this user for SSH, and now guys, they will ask you one more password. Now this password is asked by the sudo program in that system. But guys, this password prompt because of the T option. Okay, and then now this command run. So depend, guys, which kind of scenario you have accordingly you have to set. Okay, so very simply, guys, because in some automation program we have to use some kind of proper configuration this part. So anybody who are in my Ansible training, so in my tomorrow Ansible class or any other classes, I will explain you how to set this environment in Ansible. The concept is same. Okay, so here I am logging from this user on this IP. I want to run this command or yum command, user command with the power of sudo. But sudo in this system for this user, right, is not disabled with the password. Okay, so this program will ask the password in my laptop. This is let's say my laptop, my workstation. But who helped me to prompt this password? This T option. Because for prompting this this screen, is called terminal. So we have to prompt a terminal, some virtual terminal. Here, guys, here the virtual terminal is called sudo. Here p is silent, sudo terminal. And who gives the sudo terminal? This t. If you don't give the sudo terminal, then that error of this error come up. Okay, so this t will give this option to you. So we need this, right? So depend, guys. If sudo need a password, you have to enable this option. If sudo doesn't need the password, you write this, you don't write this, doesn't matter. Okay, so depend upon in the server what setup you have done. So that's all, guys. Lots of concept I explained about sudo. None of the training, none of the RHCSA, none of the RSC, none of the program in the market talk a lot about sudo and talk about this kind of practical. But I believe, guys, to managing the automation world or to managing the real server, if you should know this context or this concept about the sudo, so we can configure our servers accordingly. Your login remote system, local system, which user want to run with this, which power, root power, Vimal power, which command power, which machine. So all those kind of concepts, guys, now after you understand this concept, you can apply. Even though so much knowledge we don't require in our RSCSA level of training, and maybe guys are planning in the future for RSC 8 or Ansible, something like this. We don't also require to know so much thing, but it's good to know extra thing, because we don't know whenever this concept we require in any of the environment, right? So that's all, guys. From my side, I'm going to open a Q&A. I'm going to open a Q&A in a minute, and any query if you have, you can ask me, guys, on your Q&A. So whatever I explain you, guys, any query you can ask me. Just give me 1 minute. Let me open my Q&A and you can ask your query over there. Okay, so for the automation, guys, for the Linux, guys, this concept is very much interesting, very much important, guys. And even though, guys, a lot of guys might got some more new idea also from those concepts, how to manage some other security permission in the Linux servers to do the thing, guys. So, guys, your Q&A is open. And if you don't able to see the Q&A, it's like chat box. Just go back from your chat box or from this screen of your YouTube app. Just go back again, come in the same URL or same link. You will see your chat box open, and after chat box open, you can put your query on your chat box, right? It doesn't matter, Dinesh. If you don't have the same user in both system, it doesn't matter. 99% we don't have we don't have same user in both the system. So that is the reason I recommend to use have an L option to give the remote username. Pankaj, I'm not going to explain you again because this is a YouTube video. It is already recorded, so you can go back to and read my complete video. It is compulsory to change. No, it is not compulsory, Rohit. It is not compulsory. If you want to give a user power, then only you can write in the sudo file. Otherwise, it is not compulsory to read it. Within no shadow file doesn't show the password, because the password it is in the hashes. So password is there, but in hashes it's called SHA or MD5 hash or SSH hash. So but password is there, right? The second field is the password. You can edit that line and set the password there, right? Okay, so how to read the password? Password is hashes. Nobody can read the password, but yeah, you can use some brute force attack to try to break the password, but sometimes it's not possible if you give the bigger password. How to group Jenkins and Apache? I don't understand the Prince what I mean by group. Okay, so if you want to give the both the same power, put the both the users in same group. This is one of the way, but I don't exactly understand Prince is which context you're talking about. Maybe Pankaj, I'll definitely try to take a class on security, but this is again one of the topic of security. Permissions we discuss is again one of the topic of security. Security is a big world. Every technology is related to has their own security model, right? So security is a big world. It's never ending, but whatever the topics we need, we're doing here. How many classes left? Please guys, there are a lot of classes I'm taking here that is not the part of this training, but I told you in the initial classes we are going to learn as much as we can, as much as we want in the basic at the level of RHCSA. But typically according to program there's 2 or 3 class more left according to RHCSA program, but I'm also taking some extra classes for you for extra learning. So how to disable root account? Kapil, you can go to the file and write any hash symbol in the front of the file. One of the simple way, right? Otherwise, we have some other way also, or remove the entry of the line, right? From past WD file. So those kind of things you can write there. So thank you guys very much, and see you guys in next classes. We'll update you guys when we are going to take the next class. So that's all for today. I just want to call off and this session, and we'll see you guys in the next class. But this topic is very interesting, used for implementing your real use cases, right? That's all, and see you guys. Bye. Take care.